ECoWeB stands for Emotional Competence in Wellbeing in Young People. So it's really based on the idea that we know that we need to do more to help improve well-being and mental health in young people. And there's a lot of digital apps that are being used by young people without an evidence base. So the real goal here was to take elements from the psychological theory and practice that we know work, put them into an app, and then trial them in a large-scale trial. So we got some proper evidence of whether these apps can be useful for young people. And what we ended up developing is 3 versions of an app. So we had a standard self-monitoring app, which is where young people could just monitor their emotions over time, which is often what people are getting in a lot of the apps that are out there. Then we had a version with that, but generic cognitive behavioral therapy elements in it in a self-help format. Then we had a 3rd version of the app, which worked on improving emotional competence skills. So this is the idea that you might want to improve your emotion regulation or your understanding of emotion or your ability to regulate your appraisals of situations. And that was designed to be slightly more personalised so that people got the ones of those that looked like might be most helpful for them. And then in 2 trials, we compared those 3 apps in young people who were reasonably well functioning. So that's what we called the PROMOTE trial, because it was about building well-being. And then in young people who we thought were more vulnerable because they were reporting risk factors like high levels of worry or rejection sensitivity or negative appraisals, which we know have predicted anxiety and depression in the past. And again, we compared the 3 apps in that trial, and we called that the PREVENT trial. And so we were really interested to see in the PROMOTE trial whether the apps, particularly the emotional competence app, could improve well-being. And in the PREVENT trial, we wanted to see whether the apps, particularly the emotional competence app and the CBT app relative to self-monitoring, could prevent people getting worse in terms of depression and anxiety. So the PROMOTE trial ended up being quite a large sample. So over 2,500 young people across UK, Spain, Germany, and Belgium were involved. And despite those large numbers, we got no difference between the 3 apps on any of the outcome measures we had. So whether that's depression or anxiety or well-being, there was no significant difference. So it looks like the conclusion is it's really hard with a relatively small and low intensity intervention to make a difference in improving well-being in people who are functioning reasonably well to start with, which I think is consistent with a wider literature on how hard it is to do things like universal prevention and so on. So PREVENT was different in the sense that we did get an effect. The finding was that the CBT self-help app did prevent or reduce the increase in depression and improve functioning and quality of life for this higher risk group of young people relative to self-monitoring. So we got a significant effect there. Bearing in mind this was a fairly low intensity app and some people might have only used it a few times, that's really interesting that we've got a significant effect that looks like it's meaningful in terms of impact on depression and functioning for that app. So I think that's really important given all this debate about can we have apps that are effective and helpful. This suggests that they can, as long as they're got the right kind of content and obviously a lot of evidence-based content in CBT, and that we're tailoring and targeting them more selectively to a higher risk group. And that indicates there might be value in taking that sort of approach and scaling it up. Because one of the great advantages of the app, of course, is that given this is unguided and it's self-help, once you've got the platform, you can effectively put it out to as many people who might benefit from it as can sign up to it effectively.